I died when I was 8 years old. I died in my sleep. And after death was taken from my bed, on the back of who I would soon know as Pegasus. And on the back of Pegasus, I went to heaven. This is my story. It all started when I was 6. The conversations at night started when I was 6. I would wake up and listen to conversations a father would have with a son. There weren't people there. I would hear voices. I would hear conversations. There were 3 people, but I don't remember who the third one was all the time. But I knew that there was a father talking to his son. And a couple of times over the next 2 years, I would hear the name Abraham. But every single night, I would wake up and listen to the conversation this father was having with his son in this third person. The last night of the conversation, I died in my sleep, and I was 8 at the time. I remember holding on to the wings of this horse as I was going up. I remember stepping off from the right side of Pegasus, and I walked towards huge pearlized white pillars, maybe 100 feet high it seemed. 4 on one side of the entrance and 4 on the other side of the entrance. I walked through clouds that were maybe waist or chest high. I walked through the doors or the entrance into heaven. And I stopped by a gurgling, living brook. The brook was maybe 200 feet wide, but it was moving and moving and moving, and the bubbles were popping, and I could see the acidic bursts in the air as the water moved, and every bubble when it burst had a song. I can remember standing there, listening to the songs that the brook did sing. Just gurgle, every pop had a melody, pop, pop, whoop, whoop. And I was listening to the songs, and then I heard the air say to me, it's living water flowing at the base of this huge mansion. Huge. It seemed as if the stairs went as far as I could see and as high as I could look up. The cement stairs went up, 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 as far as I could see. And the brook was the length of the stairs, moving swiftly. Living water, the air says. And the living water, I would one day understand, would hold healing, washing, and cleansing possibilities in it. It was living because one day I would find out that the living water could wash away anything that would contaminate your perfect health. But I stood there listening to the songs of the brook. And then I lifted my eyes and I looked across the brook, maybe 200 feet, and I saw a tree full of fruit. And every now and then, a piece of fruit would fall, passing the ground, into the clouds, down to earth. And I looked, and another piece of fruit would fall down from the tree passing the ground through the clouds and to the earth. Well, I guess it was the earth, but I didn't try to figure it out. But I knew that it was life being born, with every piece of fruit falling. And I turned to my right after watching the tree for a while. I wanted to go up the steps. So I began to walk up the steps, but I could only go so far because the clouds were so thick, and I saw the feet of God. And I saw him sitting there, and I looked up, and he was shrouded in clouds. I couldn't see his face, but I saw his feet and his legs. And there was so much love there. I could feel the love pouring out beyond myself, through me. I could feel the love of God pouring. And I walked beyond the throne, and I saw a host of angels, a multitude of angels bowing down before him. And one angel looked up, and I looked in the angel's eye. I didn't know the angel, but when I got home a few years later, I saw the picture of that angel, and that angel was my mom's mother that had passed away 20, 30 years ago, or prior to my being born. After my experience with the host of angels and the brook and the throne and my walking around in heaven, I don't know how long I was there, but I found myself back in my home with firemen standing over me with tanks of air, and I had air over my face, and I was gasping for breath. And when my mom saw I had come back, she reached for me and held me in her joy. And I just said, "Mom, Pegasus took me to heaven." And she looked at me, and she was only glad that I had been revived. But all I could remember was, Pegasus took me to heaven. And after Pegasus took me to heaven, I began to look for him. I looked for Pegasus in the cloud. Day after day, I remembered Pegasus, and I sought for Pegasus. I looked for Pegasus, and I found Pegasus in Greek mythology, and I would look for Pegasus and read about him and watch the movies about him. Pegasus was my source to who I was and to my identity. Pegasus took me to heaven. And I was looking for Pegasus everywhere. And I found him in Greek books, and I found him on TV. And now I'm growing up, and my mom never talked about Pegasus. No one ever mentioned Pegasus. Maybe a couple of people I would mention Pegasus to. They would go, "That's not real," but I'm going, "Here he is." And after a while, I stopped arguing about the validity of my truth. He was real. So I sought for him, and everyone knew Pegasus was my truth. But it was pushed aside as being ridiculous. I continued to grow and search for Pegasus. And being from a religious household, I thought, wow, I've got to find Pegasus in the Bible, because if he's not there, then what am I going to do with my truth? I've got to find me somewhere in the Bible. And my family being religious, if Pegasus was not in the Bible, I had to be silent. So I looked for Pegasus in the Bible. I looked. Finally, I began to read about Ezekiel's chariot, the winged chariot. Aha, that's it. I'm validated. And then the chariot that took Elijah up into heaven. Wow. That's me. That's my Pegasus. And then the chariot that took Jesus. Wow. That's my chariot. That's Pegasus. So I begin to continue in my search and in my quest to validate my trip, my visit to heaven. I studied more and more because I was able to have a conversation with the angels about me as opposed to people about me. Not long after I came back from heaven, I had a series of 3 dreams. The first dream was I had a box in my hand. I was provoked to say gift because the box had a bow, and so of course a box with a bow is a gift. So I hid holding my gift in my hand. I was couched in a dark corner, I remember, in the back of my parents' home, in the backyard. And in my dream, while trying to hide my gift, a light shone from heaven, spotlighted my gift, and I thought, oh my, someone's going to take my gift. So the second dream was, I found myself hiding once again with a box with a bow, a gift in my hand. I'm hiding in the dark, and the light, a light comes down from heaven, shines again on my gift, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, someone's going to take my gift. So I leave that spot and I hide again. The third dream, I'm couched in a corner in a dark place, and I search for the gift that was previously in my hand. Now there's no gift there. And I thought, oh my, someone stole my gift. And I heard the voice from heaven say, the gift is no longer in your hand. The gift is inside of you. I thought, wow, inside of me. And of course, I did not understand, dig into the mystery of what I experienced in heaven. I'm able to uncover information given to me at the time. I was 6 when the father was talking to his son. Aha, now I know what that is. I'm able to write providentially, providence messages and poems and poetry. I was given the gift of predictions and prophecy at the time, but only as I matured am I able to tap into the wisdom that was given to a child, but only a mature adult could understand. So as a result of my visit to heaven, I gained many deposits. I'm not certain about everything that was given to me, so I function and operate in the capacity of a teacher. I taught college, I taught elementary school, and 20 years ago I started an organization, well, a ministry called Revelation Ministry, because I am Revelation, I am the angels, and sometimes I think I'm even the creature. But I wanted to tell my story. My story, and sharing my story helps me to understand who I am. I am a Christian. I'm a believer who was given gifts as a result of my trip to heaven on Pegasus. I'm already ostracized, but that's my truth, and I wanted to share it. There in heaven, I heard a brook sing through the bubbles. The bubbles had a voice. I saw a tree of life whose fruit fell from the branches down to earth, and children were born. I had conversations with angels. I saw God, experienced and interacted with love. And now I'm a gifted person who has an intimate relationship with angels. And I'm happy to share. I did not go to school for the gifts. No, I didn't fast 40 days and 40 nights. No, I died when I was 8 years old in my sleep and rode to heaven on the back of Pegasus, dropped off at the door, given mysteries as a child, sealed until that child was mature enough to study and understand that all things are possible. That's my story. Thank you.